Ooh, I should. Descend. There we go. I didn't share this with you today because we're not really going to approach it the same way we have with workshops. So, I don't think you need it like right in front of you. But when I have you guys write a proposal for this last project, really the idea is just to get the process started, okay? And that's not even it, which is outstanding. And you all do it pretty differently, actually. And this one in particular, I thought would be helpful to us as a class. So I wanted to talk about it. Now, what you see up here, mostly questions and a couple statements beginning to answer some of those questions. But it's pretty open-ended, right? And in that way, I think it can work for us as a class, actually. Here's what I want you to do. Read over this, and some of you are doing it right now, it won't take long. On a sheet of paper, or I know some of you are in here right now with no means to write, which is wild to me. Use your phone, I guess. Find some way to record your thoughts other than your cerebral cortex, okay? Jot some things down. What I want you to do, after reading over this, find a question or two, or find a thought or two from this student, right, that gets you going. And I just want, I'm gonna have you guys write for literally 5 minutes. I'm not saying you can't take a break, but we're gonna just write for 5 minutes. Anything that enters into your head in regards to anything on this screen, okay? So it is 9:34. I'll stop you at 9:39, 9:40. Go for it. You guys just said something I gotta say something about. I found my 5-year-old in bed a couple nights ago.
Oh, I thought you were
Oh my.
I bought him this little digital camera, and it's a piece of shit. You never buy kids nice things, you should know.
Yeah.
You know that. But it'll record little videos, and it's really cute on the one hand. It's a little troubling on the other, but he's trying to, in his insane way, record some kind of like how-to video or something on his camera. Yeah, for his followers, of which there are none. It's a digital, like there's no. He's like, and then you take J-Dog, which is his little bunny blanket hybrid. You take J-Dog and you tuck him in, and it's very cute, but it's also. Look, if he could be an influencer, that's what I would be like. On some level, I'm like, hey man, make money, whatever you do. But it's also not like a viable career choice. I would rather he fucking read books or something. But it right? It very much is that I don't know, you only strive to be what you see, like what you realize, what you think is an option or something, and if that's thus far his interaction with the world, like, you know, so you have kids younger than you guys, right, who are growing up way more plugged in than you ever were, if you can believe that.
Oh yeah.
What does that look like? Like, how does that shape those people? Because it does. And then the obvious question from there is, well, how might it have shaped you in ways that you haven't really thought about? Because you've just been living your life, right? So anything at all that I just laid on your plate there, yeah, go ahead.
So one of my points was, like, we
With your chest, please.
we base our life, or some people base their life on social media. Like,
What do you mean by that?
like they associate their hobbies and stuff that they're very interested in, and the way that they talk or speak to people is most likely always about what they've seen on social media, or like what's the newest trend on TikTok. Like, a lot of people's comedy that I've noticed lately is based on TikTok.
Oh my god.
Their comedy?
Yes, or their jokes, the stuff
Gee,
they say.
but just so I understand, because it seems like you guys are on a page I'm not quite on, like, people talking to each other,
Yes.
like friends of yours, or perhaps even you're saying, comes from the well of TikTok. My wife will send me that shit, and every time I'm like, this is too short to set up a joke. Like, it never, she'll send me something like, isn't that funny? I was like, the timing is all off because it's like 7 seconds long. I can't go on the walk I need for the haha.
It's very weird because, humble brag, I've been off TikTok for like a year.
Baller.
I had a student last semester tell me he loses hours every day on TikTok.
They finally put the clock back on it,
He
which
said
is good.
It was
hours.
literally, that's why.
There's a clock on TikTok?
Well, it used to be it would hide
Yeah.
the clock at the
Oh,
end of the
yeah.
phone, but now you can see it.
Getting back to my point.
Yeah,
Because,
sorry.
like,
What I've noticed is that a lot of people's humor and or stuff that they say, like it's always, whenever I'm in a group,
Yeah.
it's always like, hey, I saw this on TikTok. And
Yeah.
That is what yours.
Just like, yeah.
Or they say the newest trend.
Yeah.
You know, and it's just, it's kind of strange to see that people are making every conversation or making part of their character in relation to social media, which I feel like is going to be much more prevalent if
Yeah.
you start at 5 on
Yeah.
and you keep going.
Yeah.
That's going.
And again, like, I mean, because our whole thing, I know I've told you this to you guys before, we don't want our kids to be totally unplugged because then they're the weirdos in class. You seen the latest thing? And my kid would go, no, we make butter. You know, like, or whatever. I don't want that. But I don't want to be the, yeah. Well, like, there's the one kid that, like, fucking makes it. But we don't want them to be the leading edge of always on TikTok and stuff. Like, I don't want that either, right? Yeah. To help, though, I think the devil's advocate there, the pushback would be, that's always been a thing. I can remember being in elementary school, like 3rd grade, probably way too young for this, having missed South Park that week and coming in that day, and I had no one to talk to because they were all like, "Did you win?" And I'm like, "No." So, in some ways, like that has obviously shifted to TikTok or whatever, but, and I'm not excusing it at all, but it does seem to. We call it popular media for a reason, popular culture for a reason, but how much of that does seem to be almost disposable as a result of, I mean, TikTok's again, like, I don't know.
Dang.
I don't know what the max length is, I'm sure you guys probably do, but quite short.
3 minutes.
It's gone.
Yeah, well, but a
No, it's
South Park
like
episode
a
would be
5
23 minutes, right? Like and it's just, if everything keeps getting shorter, and that's what our exchanges are based upon, where does that maybe lead? It almost seems like right now, I honestly worry, talking for this length of time, some of you have turned off, right? Like I do worry about that. That's a real thing. Anyway, I don't know. Some of you seem like you had something to say.
I think like it's a totally different. I feel like we're honing in on the comedy aspect of it here. Like it's a totally different brand of funny.
Yeah,
Like,
which is not available to me. By the
yeah,
way.
like certainly a video that is less than 10 seconds long. Like
That's hard.
I'm part of the generation that like finds some of them funny. Like sometimes the stupidest stuff is funny, but it's only in that capacity that it's
Yeah.
funny when you're looking at it from, because like they can make edits and
Yeah,
cuts
yeah,
and they
yeah,
can mess
yeah.
around with the audio and stuff.
Yeah.
But then when you go into real life and somebody tries to make like a reference to a TikTok that's like super short, you're like, that was the worst thing you ever done. Like just be funny normally. Like,
Well,
you know.
and look, maybe yeah, it seems like Austin agrees with you. Well, but if a lot of people are doing it, and I'm not saying it's good or bad, but if a lot of people are doing it, then that would suggest to me that you guys might at some point be in the minority there in terms of feeling that way. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And it's just, if that's where we're headed, it seems like we are. What does that do? Like, do we ever reach some dystopia where no one speaks, they just exchange very quick edited videos, like, right? Like, does it reach this weird point? I don't know. I'm being silly, but also, I don't know that it's that far fetched, right?
No.
Is it harder, for instance, to talk to each other? Like, apart from, did you see the latest TikTok? Did you fucking?
It's harder to be actually funny than it is to just reference a TikTok and be like, oh my god, I saw this TikTok where it was like such and such, and somebody's like, oh, I saw that. And
So like
ha, ha, ha.
harder, and then because Austin, are you saying it's harder from your own brain, like to not draw from?
Well, because I can tell Austin and I, we're hilarious, like obviously. So when we like actually have to put effort into it or whatever, it's different than someone who like evokes a response because they're like, hey guys, look at this thing. And it's like,
Yeah, well, because you're depending upon like
Right,
someone else,
yeah.
something else. Yeah, and that's always harder anyway. But no, I take your point. You're also describing like referential humor, which has also always been a thing, right? That's why Family Guy exists, basically.
Oh my
But,
God.
yeah. What do you have?
Moving away from comedy for just a second.
Sure.
Just going into like a personality aspect as a whole.
Yeah.
You have so many people. 'Cause there's like what? Is there like almost a billion views or something?
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
some ridiculous amount.
So
Yeah.
that is
A lot of them are fake,
Like-
obviously, but
that's
still.
a percentage of the world, essentially.
Yeah.
It's an eighth
Yeah, yeah,
of the
yeah.
world just about now.
And they're all ingesting the same stuff. And
Yeah.
They all
Yeah.
are on it for hours on end. Eventually, there's going to be a lot of interlinking of people, and we're all going to be sort of not the same person, but
Not so different.
not so different at all. And we're kind of losing our uniqueness and our personality.
The word you're looking for is homogenized. You're going to be homogenized. Kind of sands all the contours off of your individuality. Maybe.
Which can help sometimes in a face-to-face conversation if you have something to talk about.
Well, in the way that, like, I feel this way, and you're like, shit, I feel that way too. I mean, yeah, but there's some super old school wisdom that would suggest that would not work well. For instance, have you ever been alone with yourself, alone with your own thoughts, and thought to yourself at some point, God, I gotta get out of here? Like, there seems to be value in someone who doesn't see everything the way that you do, right? And in all kinds of ways. But for like when it comes to romantic entanglements, my wife and I, we share some things, obviously, but we're also pretty different. She's very well put together in terms of dressing up, and she's more cultured than I am, you know. Like she's literally traveled the world. We went to Tennessee a bunch when I was a kid. You know, like it's not, yeah, like Ruby Falls. I've been there.
Oh, dude, no way. Ruby
But
Falls.
she went to Greece and stuff. But
Oh.
so yeah, so there's something to be said, I think, and I'm not quite sure what it is, but for what we might lose, potentially. Does that resonate with any of you? Like, do you worry, or do you feel like that's an interesting point that like we're perhaps being homogenized a little bit?
Just a fun little. So when I go home, my 10-year-old brother,
Yeah.
he will sometimes have his little friends over or whatever, and
Yeah.
they are the exact same person.
Well,
Oh my god, it is like
Yeah.
insane. They'll make the same reference to a video, and I'm just put in charge watching them. I'm just
Yeah.
put in charge watching them. And I'm like,
Yeah.
no
Well,
idea
in some
what
ways
they're
it makes it
talking
easier, right? Because you can just.
yeah, I mean, kind of, but listen,
I'm not saying it's good.
because I'm there to see my youngest brother,
Yeah.
and then like kids, whatever, get tacked on, but it's the same conversation for 20 minutes,
Yeah.
but it's not
Yeah.
like there's any new points. It's them repeating
Yeah.
the same lines of the same videos to each other.
Yeah.
But they're 10-year-old little boys though, so like obviously
Well-
there's some level of it that's gonna be stupid.
Sure, they're idiots, but you know, you can draw things from that because 10, you're only 6 years removed from driving a car, right? Like it's not that
Yeah,
removed from being a person. You're 10 years old, you're not a person, but like, right?
Yeah.
And I don't know if 6 years time, if you somehow reported back to us, you'd be like, oh yeah, my brother's totally different now. He's
no idea, man.
Yeah, it might be worse in like if we're gonna measure it somehow. Yeah, and I mean, unavoidably that makes me think about my kids. I'm like, oh, I don't know what to do. I don't know if there's anything you could do because also, suppose we were those weird parents that made the butter, right? They would still go to school, you know. My son, my 7-year-old, got in trouble last year. I don't remember exactly what he said. He said, supposedly some kind of, I don't even think it was a curse word, but like word he shouldn't say at school, and got in trouble. And they were saying stuff to us, and I was like, look, I'm gonna tell you, he didn't hear this at home. And it wasn't like we don't curse at home. I curse all the time. I don't, whatever it was, I don't fucking talk like that. Like, it was some kind of, I think it was like a halfway curse word.
Yeah.
Like, I'm going to say the real one. I'm not going to say this bullshit, like, word. But my point is, the world around you is going to affect you, is going to sort of tell you what to do or how to be or to get on TikTok or whatever it is, right? Like, can you even, if you wanted to, escape this stuff, if that makes sense? It's even possible. Yeah.
Can I bring up a new point?
Huh?
Can I bring up a new point?
Yeah, sure.
So, I don't know, I feel like now, since social media's gotten so big, and there's
Yeah.
so many users on it, I
Yeah.
feel like just culture, in a sense, is now being learned through it.
Yeah, I would agree with that.
We now like adapt our new ways through that like fashion, the way we talk.
And again, to give you a corollary, like people talked about television the same way. In the 50s and 60s, like not every, but 70s and 80s, everybody had one. And then it stopped being like a side street culturally and started being like a medium. Like this is how we learn about each other. Yeah. Same kind of thing. I cut you off, I'm sorry. Well, that was your point. It's just like it's a pillar now.
Exactly, but it can go both ways. It can be good because it's starting a new era, or it can be
Yeah.
bad because something that can be so volatile,
Yeah.
damaging at times.
Well, that does seem to be like, especially the negative aspect, because people that explain it away, we see this in The Social Dilemma. The old guy kind of makes my point about TV. He's like, people were saying the same thing about TV, and they were. People said the same thing about bicycles. I'm not making that up. There were a lot of, because this is a weird thought, but go with me. There was a time when bicycles were new. They were invented. And there were people who were like, this new technology is causing mayhem, because people were insane, and like when bikes were invented, there weren't brakes and shit like that. Like, that's all real. And you got to think, if there's a world of people on bikes with no brakes, that is kind of wild. Like, things are going to happen. But the argument is, any new technology, any new development, there's always going to be doubters and alarmists, and that's true. Okay. But I think Tristan's point is you have to appreciate the differences. For instance, TV, for the most part, is still scripted and still in a box, like a literal box, but also in terms of what you're going to find there. You sign up for whatever you want to see. You change channels. You go searching for a show. Social media is not that way. Even if you follow only certain people and you mute or block people, which who doesn't do that? That's outstanding, right? But the way the algorithm works, that big scary algorithm, it's gonna show you other stuff. You're gonna encounter things that maybe you did or didn't want to see, but you didn't choose, and now it just happens to you in a way that I don't think technologies before this really did, right? And I don't know what that does. I mean, there has to be some positives to that as well, but the idea that there could be nefarious outcomes from that mechanism, right? I don't think you can dismiss it. Like, it worries me. I mean, mostly as a parent, right? Like, I'll be dead at some point, I know, but weirdly I can live with that. But my boys, I worry about them, right? Like, I want them to be actual people. I don't want them to just be little like meme factories walking around like that. That sounds awful, you know? Let's change tracks. Is there anything else, any other thoughts you guys had, or any other things specifically up here you wanted to talk about, or anything we haven't touched on? I'm interested in anything at all.
They could at some point touch on some of the positive effects that it's had.
Yeah, no, we could, and yeah, because it is maybe easier to bash at things, right?
Right.
Yeah, we can do that. I would assume you have some.
I mean,
Okay. Well, what are some positives? I mean, you'll hear people, and again, Tristan does this in the documentary. He talks about, no, it's the Pinterest guy. Talks about people like reconnecting after years, and people finding organs, and the idea that you could connect people so much quicker and so much easier.
yeah.
Does have positive benefits for sure. You said yeah, like you had.
Well, like, I guess another thing, like, obviously, nobody ever puts any fake information on the internet, right? Like, but,
Yeah.
I mean, there's still certainly something to be said about how much easier it is to access just, like, anything. Like, obviously,
Yeah.
this is a little bit more like search engine kind of, just the
Yeah.
internet in general is a thing. But, like, certainly there's still lots of stuff you just end up seeing,
Yeah.
like, through byways on social media or whatever, where you see something, you're like, oh, that can't be true, and you look it up or whatever, and
Isn't it weird? Like, and this sort of ties into something we were talking about before class, and in a way doesn't. Isn't it weird that, like, the more available information is, I would argue, the less likely we are to go find it?
Yeah.
Right? Like, maybe because we're so used to being spoon-fed, we're so used to it being given to us, that the idea that you would even Google something, which is almost always all it takes,
yeah.
we don't bother. So many times I'll come into class, like in my 1102, we start with poetry, so if you sign up, get excited. But I'll say like, you know, blah, blah, and I'll know there's a word that no one has looked up. And we're like, so talk to me about this. Blank faces, and I'll go, anybody look it up?
Your 1102 class?
Yeah.
I couldn't find you.
I've heard, I just
Yeah.
emailed somebody, so that's fun.
Yeah, so what do we do? Like,
Wait,
like,
hopefully
you
I'm
know-
gonna get it fixed today.
Okay, and then we can like re-sign.
Yeah, because that's gonna fuck me as well.
Yeah.
If no one can sign up for my class.
You're just
Yeah.
gonna be in here like,
No, they'll be like, you don't have a job. Like, it,
Because I saw your wife, Anna.
okay.
I think I
Yeah,
signed up for your
like,
wife's class.
Yeah,
She does.
I was like, okay, I guess he just does 1101 and then she does
No,
1102.
Anyways,
people are bad at their jobs everywhere. That's a real thing.
particularly at university
Well, no, everywhere.
or
Everywhere.
admin.
Think about, this is a total side effect. Think about the friends you have, and even just acquaintances, okay? Think about, truly, for just a second, in your head, don't say it out loud, how many of those people you would trust to do something important? It's probably a smallish number. Now, all the rest of those people are going to go out, they're going to get jobs, they're going to vote, they're going to have kids.
Oof.
The world is full of folks like that, and some of those people
Work.
list classes.
Yeah.
Really? Like anyway, let's talk about class. The one that we have right now. Who knows about next semester?
Not you.
Yeah, no, maybe not. Oh, you mentioned, yeah, positive. I overheard you say something. You guys were talking about,
Well, yeah. Earlier when we were in,
Yeah.
I was talking about like how, along with like the commonly cited like negative social pressure that you feel from social media, being like,
which is a thing.
which
It's
is
a
like,
thing.
oh, you know, you see a bunch of like hot people on Instagram and then you feel bad because you think you're ugly or whatever. But like,
Yeah.
how many like, well, I don't. This is just my personal experience, but like, when I see someone who's like cut to shreds and like
Yeah.
eating healthy and stuff, I'm like, dang, it makes me feel slightly more compelled to continue better.
There is
myself
that.
in that way.
Um,
And there's a lot of different ways that you can like that like you just learn about like simple. I don't know. It's so weird because there's so many different people who are. I don't want to say selflessly, but just trying to like project information out there where it's like
yeah.
there's a lot of like pages and stuff that are like about, you know, teaching you about like finances or like yard work or cooking or anything like that, like just simple
Yeah.
stuff that you might be oblivious to, but like, you know, you can get those quick like hits of it.
Well, you're, like lifestyle changes is what you're talking about,
Right,
right?
yeah.
Like, yeah, for sure, for sure. No, I mean this is one of the douchier things I ever say to you, but it's true. Over the pandemic, I heard somebody mention that too, which is a real thing that we can't really ignore, right, for obvious reasons. But especially in this class, like, I think most of us probably ran to not just social media, but the internet at large.
Yeah.
Because that's kind of all we had, right? Like, we would kind of be in lockdown like we were.
Right.
For me personally, like, I mean, I'm always probably more honest with you guys than I should be. Initially, in the pandemic, I was at home a lot with my boys, and, you know, we just drank a lot. Like, a lot of people did. This was a real
You
thing.
and your kids are like, just,
No,
okay.
just me and my wife.
Well, when you said me at home
I
with me and the
understand,
boys, and then you said
But I
me.
kind of thought it was odd. Anyway.
Wait, how old are You said I know one.
They're
is
7
young.
and 5.
Okay, I know one is young. And
They
I'm
had
like,
apple
After the
juice and
pandemic,
milk.
they would have been younger.
Yeah.
So
Because I
like
was
one kid in a diaper with a bottle.
Yeah.
It's like, fuck it, Dad. No. My wife, and look, there's all these studies, like it shot through the roof
Oh yeah.
during the pandemic for everybody. And after a couple of months of doing that, we even initially tried to switch to like healthier drinking. So we did the what are they called? Like
Skinny girl vodka.
the spritzers and shit.
Oh
like
my
the-
goodness.
Oh god.
whatever they're called.
Seltzers.
White
White Claws?
Oh,
White Claws.
Oh.
Which was stuff like that.
White Claws are
Well, look,
bang up, bro.
in terms
Terrible
of
White Claw. Anyway.
healthier, I guess anyway, we were doing that. And we did that for like a month. And at some point, I'm not kidding, through different people I would listen to, like Joe Rogan. I don't listen to him much anymore because like who has time for that? Well, no, they're like 3 hours and he does them 4 or 5 times a week. Like it's insane. But listening to stuff like that, eventually, I was just like, what the fuck are we doing? What are we doing? I don't drink at all now. And I even work out when my back agrees. Like, stuff like that. Like, no, for real. Like, just trying to better myself, trying to be healthier. But it was like, all right, so we're drinking these stupid White Claw things and doing all this to, like, be healthy. It's like, we could just
Not drink.
not. Yeah. How crazy is that?
Yeah.
And once we did it, we both separately came to each other and was like, do you miss it? And I'm like, really? No.
Yeah.
And now I consider it occasionally. I only ever miss it late at night, like when I'm watching football or something. But that's because it was part of the,
It's part of that routine.
yes. But the rest, nah, I really don't. And it honestly was, whatever, however you want to describe the interaction between me and like certain podcasts and things like that. And just without, I don't know that if I would have had the realization that to make that decision was really even an option. So it's a real thing. It's a real thing. I don't know how often it happens. Like, we do have to admit that there are positives, but I do wonder if the negative influence that everybody always talks about isn't just way more prevalent.
Well, but I think,
I honestly don't know, by the way. I'm just
yeah, I don't know. I mean, I would certainly agree that the negative influence is definitely more prevalent and more dramatic.
Yeah.
Just based on like what it is, especially
Yeah.
especially with the younger a person is it like, or I guess
Yeah.
within a certain threshold, like super
Yeah.
like little kids don't see a lot of like unhealthy stuff because their
Uplifting.
parents, yeah, their parents are like changing.
Dude, when we got their tablets, I signed them up for all this educational stuff.
You know, look at it.
They don't even. We don't pay for it anymore because they don't bother.
Yeah.
They're not gonna do that.
When I was visiting my niece, she's 3. She just watches Frozen 1 and 2 like on her tablet. It's like we get in the car and it's like, you want Frozen 1 or Frozen 2, and then she just sits there and scrubs through it. It's the cutest thing, but like it's but
Yeah. And
but we
this-
also went rock climbing, so she got up in there.
I mean, that's cool. But like I see parents all the time. Like yesterday, I had both kids. We had to take my son to a speech. So I had the 7-year-old. I gave him his tablet because it was like, this. I cannot control both of you right now. What does he do? He's watching Minecraft videos on YouTube. Like,
There's worse.
for sure, for sure.
There's worse.
But like, I happen to know the guy he was watching. I let him do it, but I told him, I was like, hey man, we've talked about this. I don't like you watching that idiot. It's some idiot that yells the whole time.
Oh, it's a
about Minecraft.
dream. Oh my god.
What?
I said it's a dream. Oh my god.
No. This is some Minecraft douchebag, but he just screams the whole time. Oh my god, I found a llama! Like stupid, just screaming. And
Sick.
the 7-year-old finds it entertaining, but I also know on some level that's telling him, well, this is how you entertain people. This is how, like, you just fucking scream at them. Like, I don't want that. But in the moment, I let him have it, and it's like, well, if you do that all the time, they do learn things from that. Like, another old man statement, isn't there some value in a kid being able to sit in a car and just like watch the world through the window for 20 minutes when we're going somewhere? Like, and if we don't do that, if you don't develop that skill, are you less capable in some small way of just dealing, you know? with boredom. That's what it is. Like just being bored. It sucks, right? But sometimes you are. Like sometimes maybe your phone's dead. Oh God, like or whatever. Like I don't know. Do you guys struggle with boredom?
No,
I guess
I don't struggle with anything.
like in college, like with boredom, I feel like you get a lot of it. So like we use our phones to. I eat when I'm bored.
Oh. Yeah, hey, you be careful. I'm serious. Like right now, it's okay. Things slow down, man. You gotta be careful.
If you're bored, clean your room.
But no, look, and this is something you guys won't do. When I'm bored, I'll read or write poems.
Nice.
Yeah. But it's something constructive. What'd you
I
say?
feel like
It's kind of weird.
I feel so out of the. I feel.
I
no,
went
no.
to school for 10 years for
Yeah,
poetry.
fair enough. It's on
I
brand.
know.
That's kind of weird.
I feel so out of the loop here because like the difference is like you and I will still do constructive things.
Try to.
Or yeah, for the most part.
Yeah.
However, mine is very niche like stuff that goes along with my classes. So
Okay.
like I just did a lab on tarantulas for my biodiversity class. So
Okay.
I got bored and sat there and like started researching more shit about tarantulas.
Well, it's constructive though.
Yeah, but like it still is
yeah.
an odd and niche thing that I'm never gonna use
Sure.
again.
Well, no, poems.
Like-
I mean, look, I have a I guess a mentor who's trying to get me to publish, so I'm finally sending stuff off. But until very recently, I would just write a poem. I would show my wife, and she would occasionally go, "Oh, that's really good." And I'd go, "Hey, thanks." And,
Do you ever like write her poems?
yeah,
Oh,
That's cute.
My dad would like my dad. Would
I mostly write about my voice.
Oh.
Oh.
I know. But no, it's life-changing stuff. It really over the summer. We just had a workshop, and I turned in a poem I wrote about the 5-year-old jumping into the pool with no.
Oh yeah, when you almost drowned. Oh my god.
And in that moment, like it's looking back on it when you realize this, because it's all a split second, and mostly it was fuck me, and you like jump in, right? But later on, like the emotions you're feeling in that moment are monumental. They're huge, and that's what poems, the way I was taught, should do, is try to express those moments of monumental emotion. And this is not what we're here to talk about, but yeah, I don't think it really happened until the pandemic. I didn't write for years because I had the boys, and I was too busy. My hair was on fire for years with the boys. And they got a little older, a little more independent, and during the pandemic, I wrote a poem about my wife, which I can't tell you guys about,
Yeah.
because it's not PC. But it was a sonnet, which is terribly,
Isn't that
Erudite.
sonnet is love, right?
No.
they can be.
Yeah.
I don't know
It's
anything
just
about
it's the
poetry.
Shakespearean format. But
All art, it's older than Shakespeare. All art is about sex and death. All art.
All
You're
Yeah.
either dying or you're trying to have sex before you die. All art.
yeah,
All
sounds
of
right.
it. Anyway, this one was about one of those. But it's, no, love poems. It's a love poem. But think about love poems. There's some element of, I love you so much, let's get undressed. That's it. That's in there. Because we're human beings, we're biological creatures. But the point is, all that happened during the pandemic, and it stemmed a lot from wanting to use my time way more constructive. I would drink White Claws all day and listen to history podcasts and maybe fucking play Destiny. Like, what kind of dorm room life is that? Do what? I'm maxed out, obviously. But no, like, but like,
That was the dumbest question.
but also, isn't that sad? Isn't
No.
that terrible?
I think that's a really good point. Like the whole this is
You're
kind of
okay.
off topic. The whole like art being
Okay.
death and then like trying to have sex before death. Technology has completely diminished the point of like intimate relationships or whatever if you are
I do
exclusively
worry about that.
sexting people. And I might be very old fashioned on that. That's not to say anything about anybody's like use of free time or
Well,
whatever. But
so me boiling down like that, and it's in part to be funny, but it's also true.
Yeah.
And I'm not saying that's all there is. All
Yeah.
I'm saying is that that's what art stems from.
Yeah,
is
yeah.
the intense desire around those things. But you're saying
I thought it was a good caveat.
no, for sure.
Yeah.
But what you're saying, there's a whole richness around
Yes.
those ideas that has been whittled down.
Yes, it's a very surface level thing now, which realistically,
Well, now, and you're describing a world without art,
yes.
honestly. And then for someone like me who went to school for 10 years, for poetry, I'm not saying it's okay. Hey, you know what? I left early because my wife had a kid. I had at least 2 more years in the hopper. 12 years.
That's like doctor type work.
Yeah.
It's like half
Yeah.
of
I
the
was going
time.
for a degree that's considered doctor type. I'm really fancy.
You're really cool.
I mean, that's pretty
Thanks, man. No, but the point is, you're talking about a life devoid of art, and whatever you might think of art, maybe you don't get fined. But if art is meant on a human level, meant to be an expression of intense emotion that we can somehow tap into, if you're in a world without that,
Yeah.
I think
what is it?
it's kind of impressive that like a lot of people might not necessarily attribute a lot of like there's a lot of like uptight sciencey STEM people who are like, oh, art is irrelevant or whatever like this stuff.
Yeah,
but I think
fine.
almost everybody would unequivocally agree that we can't sustain as a society without it. I mean,
oh man, I gotta be real careful. I don't start having another conversation with you guys. There's a whole lot to be said about what college is supposed to be.
yeah.
And what you guys are told it's supposed to be. You're all here to get jobs, right? Great. I didn't go to school to get a job, clearly. And I'm not knocking what you said. You made a valid point. But classically, for centuries, college was about just learning stuff about the world and learning a lot about you and becoming a fuller person. And it's got a lot to do with art. But if your whole life, and then I'll come to you also, but if your whole life you've been told, well, all that matters is like math and science and whether or not we beat China, right? Then what is your life? Is your life just the fucking job you're gonna get a couple years from now? Is that all? Because if it is, Jesus Christ, that sounds awful. Like if that's all it is, that sounds awful. What do you have?
2 things now.
Okay, yeah, sure.
Off what you said, we do that because that's the carbon copy blueprint of how our nation works. We go to work.
Yeah, well, it's what you've been told. Well, and sidebar real quick. I'm a good little Marxist because I grew up poor. My working theory is that narrative really only happened once we started letting all the poor people into school. For centuries, it was only rich kids went to college, and it was a retreat because they were going to get jobs anyway. Because daddy had a whatever, you're right. You'll work at the firm or whatever. But once we started letting all the normies in, it was for jobs. You need job, get job, then die. So that's, I think, part of it. Anyway, sorry, I cut you off.
So,
Oh yeah, sorry, man.
the world being devoid of art.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Tied into social media, we have a huge plethora of it because now stuff that we would have never got to see is now much more easy.
This is true. Although, again, my classical training and classical bias would wonder how much of that qualifies as art, according to my definition, which is this expression of monumental emotion. Like, undoubtedly, there's still artists out there, and there's still really cool stuff. But most of what you come across, I would wonder, does it really qualify? Or is it just, I'm trying real hard not to diminish this, but I'm going to. Some idiot like being a smartass with a meme or whatever, right? Like, does that qualify as monumental human emotion? I don't know. And supposing that's true for a second, I worry if you're inundated mostly with that. Again, like, does it even make it harder to appreciate art when you come across it, right? Like, I made the mistake early in my teaching career of trying to show movies that I thought were really good to my students. I don't do that as much anymore.
Like what movies?
One in particular that I finally took off my syllabus, it's called Her by Spike Jonze. It's got Joaquin Phoenix as the main character. He falls in love with his computer operating system. It's a really good movie. It's a beautiful movie. And it's beautiful in a way that I think is important and not great for students. So anyway, I work, because again, there's all these effects we don't know about, we don't think about. That could be part of it, is you're not even able to access. Oh, here's a great thing, and I know we're almost probably, well, some of you are very done. I'm gonna write a thing on the board.
Ooh.
This goes back to my education. And I'm just having fun with you. Well, here's my fucked up brain. I can tell that it bothers you, and that's what's making me do it. Isn't that? There's a cat at our house who's scared of me, and so I try to scare her.
What is wrong with you?
I know! I'm not saying it's okay.
It's funny though.
It is! That makes it worse.
Maybe it's my finger. I'm just like, cats must switch.
Still a long time.
No, I have a buddy who went to law school, and he's doing great. He also has no wife and no kid, and I think he's alone when he goes home. But he has a great job.
Jobs only so much though.
I know.
He
All right,
got
so hold on. I want to do.
Good job. Die.
I'll be happy to work for you for 40 years, but at the end I will need some time to kill or die.
Denied. Time off denied.
No, I want to do you.
I want to do to you what spring does to the cherry blossom.
Oh my.
Makes them fall.
Oh.
No, that is not where he
Oh,
was
makes
going
them
with that
bloom?
one. That is not where he was going.
Makes
with
them bust open.
This is a love poem. This is Pablo Neruda.
that. Yeah.
Oh, I know Pablo.
He's very famous. He's very dead, but he's very famous.
I know Pablo.
I love Papa.
This is one of his most well-known.
I just read it and I was like, what? I'm
That is
sorry.
staunchly sexual.
It is. It's beautiful.
Yes, it is.
But it struck me, honestly, the other day, because you think in the shower, I was thinking about this line, and I was like, I could never just bring that into class. Because so many students would go,
And look at where we are. Look at where we are.
well, and I some of that is, we don't read, okay, but I think some of it is, again, can we not even access the fact that this is beautiful? And if you can't, I am not shitting on you right now. I'm not. Huh?
No, it's stuff like that just freaks me out.
Do you think it's like an exposure kind of issue where we get
Part of
exposed
it.
to so much stuff that would traditionally be seen beautiful if we're actually seeing it, but we're seeing it through the lens of the screen?
Part of it, yeah. And there's all these studies that actually say you guys read more. Like my old boss, I came to her once, I was like, my students don't read. And she's like, oh, they read more than they ever have. But it's what are you reading,
Right.
right? And it ain't this. Yeah, I mean too, I never read poems before college. Not ever. I had the same roughly education as you. I thought I wanted to be a creative writer when I came to school, but it was prose. And being exposed to poems, I realized that's what I've been trying to do this whole time. I didn't even know it. But I was predisposed is what I'm saying. Yeah. And I mean part of what you're saying is maybe there's an opportunity for different kinds of beauty that maybe I can't access, right? Which is possible.
It is possible.
but I'm a bit of a pessimist. I'm gonna own that. But I worry stuff like this, that a guy from South America could write 2 lines that for me are just like, and it doesn't even do 5% of that for you. Like it just does.
I think what you're describing is the indomitable human spirit.
Well, it just fucking, like, that's a beautiful thing. Like, a desire and emotion to feel. Like, when you're in love, I don't know if you've ever been, it's overwhelming, right? It can destroy you in some way, right? And that I think, is what he's trying to put into words. But if you can't. Anyway, I feel like if you grow up on idiot Minecrafters who scream and things like that, like, there's not a lot of blooming cherry blossom.
Well-
Right, but does that maybe leave you open for being presented with this into, having like that, I don't know, I'm trying to, this is like only like a subtly related analogy, I guess, but like
Uh-huh.
seeing like images of like some kind of like beautiful national park like on social media.
Are you more disposed to images than words?
No, but like versus like actually going there.
Yeah.
So,
Okay.
so like if you're only exposed to stuff like on the internet or whatever, you're
Yeah.
only looking at the screaming Minecraft guy, and occasionally you see some poem or you see some picture or you hear somebody say something, but then you like, you know, where you have like a moment like that, like I had never heard that, and that was like really cool that you put that up there or whatever. That was like a fun like experience. Or you actually go to somewhere and see something cool. You actually, you know, see someone. I don't know. You know what I mean? Like it's.
I'm kind of losing you, to be honest. But then, so are you saying? I was gonna take a knee. I shouldn't do that. Anyway, are you saying that you guys are more able to access beauty? I don't know how we got here, by the way. Via a screen than I am, because that's probably true.
I feel
No,
like
I'm saying maybe the threshold of like enjoyment or pleasure or whatever you want to
Yeah.
describe that you get from seeing it on your screen
Mhm.
is like activating a different part of your brain than
Than the
it would
real
be
thing.
to really experience it, such that when you do really experience it, it maybe is like an even more transcendent experience because you've never even done that before.
I guess I would have to ask you guys. The pessimist in me would say no, but maybe. I mean, I'll allow for the possibility. Somebody at the door.
No, that was definitely one of the students in this class that just walked by.
Huh?
I think it was Jaden. And
That fucking guy. All right. That would be a record for him. Like, let's come in the last 10 minutes of class. You had something to say, and then Austin had something as well.
I lost my train of thought.
yeah,
Or-
so
it's fine.
I was really.
Maybe it'll come back. Maybe it'll come back.
Yeah, no, it's fine.
About that, like, what do you think about the statement, like, beauty is in the eye of the beholder? Like,
That's true, but all that phrase is trying to say beauty is subjective.
Yeah.
Which again is true. The beauty I'm talking about is like a capital B beauty is I mean I keep saying like human emotion. Like the cool thing for me anyway about art, a guy hundreds of years ago, or Pablo Neruda, who again is very dead, can write a thing years and years and years ago, and it can still resonate. There are people that still read Sappho. She was an ancient Greek poet. And we don't even have complete poems of hers. They're all fragments. Is that old. But some of her lines, you know, people can connect with that. So because it's still things we feel. It's still things that matter to us. And I would say that to some degree, is not subjective in the way that phrase indicates. But, yeah, I mean, Sappho is okay to me. There are people that appreciate her much more than I do. Same with Neruda, same with anybody. If you have an artist that you like, you know, normally we think of like singers or whatever. You might like that person, other people might not. You might like someone else. So on that level, beauty is in the eye of the beholder. But if there's something behind what they're saying or making, whatever the art is, I would say that beauty is less subjective. It's a deeper
Is it,
ideal.
you wouldn't call it objectively beautiful though? Not strictly.
I think it's
but, like,
approaching. It's approaching objectively beautiful.
Right, because obviously those are like the two like
Yeah.
antonyms or whatever. But
Yeah.
I don't know if that like I guess
Well,
the vernacular. In
Something to just well, and here's the trouble with words now is like how do you describe a thing? Like you can't get to like the beautiful object, but
Mhm.
I think you can get pretty close. You can approach it. Yeah, and then we have to start wrapping it up because people are tapping out.
Did you say? Oh,
That's okay. Here, and then also.
did you say that beauty is in the eye of the what?
The beholder.
The holder. Okay, I was just making sure. Sorry,
That
guys.
was it. Okay.
Sorry, I was like.
Have you never heard that before?
No.
Oh, girl.
Oh.
It's
Okay.
like oof.
Oof.
It's a thing.
Welcome to college.
It's a very no. We're not. It's a very old idea, like older
It's
than
not
me.
very like
It's all good.
into.
Sorry, I didn't
all
mean
of
to-
that. No
It's
offense, guys.
all good. It's all good, man. What do you have, Austin?
We all learned something new.
Just to clarify.
Yes.
For some to have like that good, the good beauty, right? Like a capital B beauty, it has to resonate and make someone feel something, right?
It's the idea that you would hope anyway. We're all capable of feeling something deeply, individually. But if we are, then the theory has been for thousands of years that those would be at least pretty similar. That if you, my mother-in-law is a big fan of nature, actually. Maybe think of her recently, national parks. And she, no shit, last year sent my wife a video, wherever they were, buffalo were crossing the road and they were coming right by there and she was filming it and you could hear her crying. She was so overcome.
Yeah.
I would have thought it was cool. I don't think I'm gonna cry for buffalo, you know? But there are other things. Hey, you know the last thing that made me cry as a 36-year-old man? The movie, what's it called? Onward. Have you seen this?
Haven't seen it.
Pixar, maybe?
Yeah, it is.
It's one of those movies.
I haven't seen it, but yeah, I can understand.
There's a scene at the end where the two brothers, because the whole thing is they're trying to bring their dad back, so obviously it's gonna but there's a scene, a little montage where you see them growing up together and taking care of each other. Dude, fucking. And I was watching it, my wife was next to me, she looks at me, she's like, "Are you okay?" I'm like, "No!" But it resonated. There's a well of emotional capability in most people. Obviously, we're not talking about like Jeffrey Dahmer or anybody, but like, what makes us human? What makes Jeffrey Dahmer not human is the inability to feel that stuff, right? And real art taps into that. And again, the Eye of the Beholder business from a mother-in-law, it's a buffalo, which again, cool. I'm not probably crying for that. For me, it's the damn Pixar or whatever movie. Like, when you see these two troll fictional brothers living together and making it and being brothers, right? I'm thinking of my boys. I'm thinking of life I want them to have, right? Those are real human desires. And that stuff, even though it may start from a different place, which is the Beholder business, the idea would be they tap into something much deeper that we all share.
Would you say that that's like just being able to relate it more to like some kind of human experience that you've had? Like, I think, like whenever you're talking about your mom like crying about the buffalo or whatever,
Yeah.
obviously that's, you know, just like a different perspective and you
Yeah,
maybe
yeah.
weren't able to relate to that, but clearly she was having some kind of experience, and whether that was with, you know, the people that she was with or like all of the things that had led up to that moment or whatever.
Yeah.
And maybe just you seeing that snapshot, it was more difficult to grasp or understand.
Because I don't have her lived experience.
Right, exactly.
Yeah. Well, and yeah, so again, that's what the Beholder business depends upon that.
Mm-hmm.
That's where your perspective comes from. So that's why it's at least closer to the surface. But whatever you feel in that moment, I'm saying, goes much deeper, and that's where we all commiserate. That's where we all kind of unite. Is again, I can feel what she felt, but it's about a different thing.
Right. So maybe it's like that, you know, given she had experienced these five things and like
for years and years
had experienced this one thing right beforehand, it led to that moment where she was overwhelmed by this beauty, versus the Pixar movie was able to channel on something that was maybe a little bit more broadly applicable, like, you know, people have brothers, people have dads, so they can relate to that.
But the reaction I had was
Right.
the same reaction she had.
Yeah.
Yep, for sure. That's what art is supposed to do. Somehow it's got something to do with social media. All right, so what we did today, much longer than I meant to, and I do apologize to those of you who are very clearly trying to get out of here. Just get a conversation going, and you can start from roundabout where we started, honestly. I tried not to, and I mean this, I tried not to listen to what you guys were talking to each other about. But it seemed like you guys are having pretty decent conversations. So if it helps, you can start with what you were talking about today. I think that'd be a good place to start. But let it be your conversation, even if it's by yourself. Just see where it goes. Maybe you end up talking about beauty. No, I don't know. That's fine with me. Okay? That's what we're doing for the project. The last couple things I want you to know. Number one, you have a rough draft due next time. And I understand that that's probably strange, primarily because what the hell would that even be for this assignment? Here's what that is for. And it says this on CourseNet, but I want to explain it to you. However you record whatever you're going to put together, it will be video or audio. Of course, video will be both. But Courseden tends to not like large files, okay? So, if you only do audio, it'll be easier to upload to Courseden. I'll tell you right now, it will probably be harder to get off your phone. I mentioned this, I think, before. iPhones in particular, I don't know about Android. You can record audio with different apps, and then it's like, good luck doing anything with it. It's tricky. So there's that. On the flip side, much easier to record video. I'm doing it right now. I can't upload this to Courseden. I have to upload it to YouTube first. And then I have to copy that link into Courseden, and that's how you get it if you watch it there. So I say all that to say, there's gonna be a couple technical hoops you gotta jump through, whatever you decide to do. And I have the rough draft here so that you can try to jump through those hoops before you actually turn the thing in. So, to sum all that up, whatever you think you're gonna do, if you're gonna do audio only, if you're gonna do video, record a short thing, 20 seconds, something, okay? Record that. And then go through, for some of you, the headache that will probably ensue trying to get a rough draft up, okay? Because I want you to have those problems if you're gonna have them now, as opposed to 20 minutes before it's due, which is what some of you are gonna do, okay? The other things I want you to know, again, if you do audio only, if you can figure out how to get it off your phone, putting it on Courseden probably won't be tough. Some of you, depending on the file type, will be able to upload videos to Courseden. Some of you won't. If you're not, what I would do, upload it, your video to YouTube. You can make it unlisted, not private, unlisted, which means no one can see it without a link. And then you can take that link, copy and paste it into a document, upload that document to Courseden, okay? That will allow me to take that link and see the video. That's what I would do. Yes?
In the rough draft, we kind of talk about what we're doing in the video.
If you want to. Again, this is mostly meant as a tech test. So you don't have to. You can if you want to take a run at it, but you don't have to.
Okay, good.
Yeah, what's up?
So the rough draft is not gonna be like a paper, it's gonna be a video or audio?
Yeah. Again, this is a super dry run at the real thing because I just anticipate some of you would have technical issues. This is trying to get those out of the way. Yeah.
So if we're doing like a partner, it could just be
Yeah.
one of us that sends it in and I'll like just say her name with it, or do you?
But that's a good question. If you're gonna do that, maybe in the comments on Courseden, list your names, just so I know I can give everybody credit, right? That's a good question, actually. Yeah, go ahead and do that. I hadn't thought of that.
Okay.
Would you have a question as well?
Yeah, that was my question.
Okay, yeah, good question. I had not
Has to be a partner.
considered that. You don't have to. You can do it solo. Some people even are going to have partners that aren't in the class. That's fine. Whatever you want to do. But if they're in the class, just to make sure everybody gets credit, that's a really great
I
point.
mean, aren't in the class. Like, I can talk to my dad for 20 minutes.
If you want to,
Fuck it.
yeah.
Let's go. I got the setup, bro.
Okay,
I
that's
got the
cool.
boom mic. I'm ready.
Okay. Are there any other questions about that?
Gonna pull up
Those are good
Audacity.
questions. Yes.
With the final like project, do we have to edit it? Because you said like in your directions, like
You
how
can.
many
You don't
go
have to.
into?
You don't
Okay.
have to. That's really. You won't know until you do it, right? You might. I would at least watch it back before you turn it in. I think it's a good habit to be in. But for this, I'm going to cut out the couple minutes you guys were writing solo. I don't.
What do you use to cut that out?
iMovie.
Okay, just okay.
Yeah, on the phone because I have an iPhone, so it works with my phone. But I would assume Android has something similar. Yeah, stuff like that. Did you have another question?
Yes, language in the recording, does it have to be PG?
I don't care.
Okay.
I mean, I understand why you ask. I don't
I'm
care.
gonna be talking to my roommates.
That's fine. That doesn't.
Just don't get like
Oh my God.
super
racist.
visceral.
No.
Racist.
I'm worried about your ideas. I don't care about that. Okay.
No, not racism.
All right. Last thing, and then I'll let you go. This is important. You guys don't like this.
No,
We're not
absolutely
meeting
not.
next
Not
Wednesday.
that
Do you know that?
Wait, what do you say?
What?
We're not meeting next Wednesday. Do you know that?
good. No, we did not. Oh, now I do.
That's the thing to know.
Okay.
Here's what I'm asking. Monday's on the table. We don't have to meet, is what I'm saying.
Okay.
No, it's not. I'm just kidding.
I want to. I like being in here.
Well,
You can you want to.
here's what I'm gonna say. Here's what I'm gonna say. If, and I mean this, I will not take offense either way. If anybody wants to meet on Monday to talk about anything in the class, or project, whatever, we can do that. What I'm going to ask you is to email me. Because what I anticipate most of you,
Sorry. I'll
it's
let you go.
okay.
You're chill.
I'm not.
Yeah.
If anybody, if I was given the option not to come in, I would never come in, right? Yeah. But what I'm saying is, what I don't want to do is come in on Monday and nobody be here. That would suck. So, if you are going to, I don't mean you might. If you're going to and you want to talk for a bit, hit me up before Monday. Just let me know. I'll come in. Yeah,
Can you just send an email? Sorry, this is like.
that's okay.
Can you send an email when you get your 1102 stuff fixed? With
Yeah, I'll do that.
Thank
I'll do
you.
Because that helps me too.
I would
That's
like
a hell of
to-
a thing to learn today.
that?
Yeah.
I'd like to not have to
Can
go.
you be my partner?
I don't know about that.
You just said you were going to your dad.
We'll talk about that after class.
I
All
feel
right.
like you have like an upper hand.
Well, that's not.
Might be a
honestly-
conflict of interest when you're grading.
Just
That's-
have
that's part of
20
my
individual
concern.
conversations with your
Yeah.
students.
All right. I'll let everybody go. If anybody else has questions, I'll talk to you. Otherwise, I'll see you. God, I don't know. Pay attention to the syllabus, because if we don't meet next week, we do have one more meeting. So please don't just disappear. Great. See you guys later.